Blue Rockers. Welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Last night we had a breaking news for you with crypto, and tonight I'm not really calling it breaking news, but I guess it still kind of is, but it's been out 24 hours, and in the crypto world, that's like freaking forever. So anyway, Crypto Connie, tonight we're going to be talking with Stan Larimer, the Godfather of BitShares, and introducing you officially to Michael Taggart. Who is this guy? I bet a lot of you guys already know him, but we're going to find out tonight, all right? So just some other news beforehand. I think I'm going to tell you tomorrow night some other news. I better shut up about that. But we do have some really special things coming up on Blue Rock Talk that, again, it's a nice teaser, but until we get the date, I'm just going to say fire in the sky. That's going to be the teaser. A lot of you guys already know what that is as soon as you hear fire in the sky. Also going to be on Coast to Coast March 24th. And other than that, you're going to see a whole lot of stuff in between and a whole lot of great announcements. But let's go ahead and bring in our guys for tonight. We are going to bring in Stan Larimer and also Michael Taggart. How are you guys?
Hey, Connie.
Well,
hey, Connie.
Hey there. Well, I know, right? Right, exactly. Last time we saw Michael, he was at a party behind the scenes at what was it, the Conscious Media Festival.
Yeah, we were down there. Couldn't hear anything you were saying on there, so we just tried to do the on-scene reporting as was happening. But I did see the video later. It seemed to have gone pretty well. So,
yeah, it looked like you were having a good time, for sure.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Everybody there was really amazing, and they were very open to the discussion and everything that we were talking about in regards to blockchain. I guess the transition of a medium of exchange that is based off of debt versus a medium of exchange that is based off of value.
Well, it looked like you had a good time just from where we were, for sure. That was the party. That was the party time, though, right? So that's always going to be fun. Well,
no, we were working very hard.
Yeah, exactly. Not on that night. Yeah, exactly. So I just want to just to kind of get us all equal here a little bit, I got to move over here, okay? And Michael, if you can just go to your right a little bit, just scoot over. Now you're in the center. Great, thank you. And stay right there. And then Stan, your head is way low, so you don't mind turning your camera down. Perfect. We are good to go. Okay, excellent. All right, okay. So let me make sure we're on here pretty well. I'm sure we're okay now. And we got some sound going. We're good. Always takes a while to do the live streaming thing. So let's go ahead and start before we bring up what the news was. Michael, introduce yourself so people on Blue Rock Talk will know who you are as well. I know that, I could go on and on with the stuff that I've read about you. I'm excited about it. And I have put down in the description box the 2 links about the articles on you and what's been going on. So that's really impressive. So tell us more about you.
Man, where do you start?
See, exactly. That was my dilemma.
Right. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I've always just been kind of a quote-unquote disruptive person sometimes in my personality or otherwise. And just growing up, I just kind of, I was always good at school, but I just never really had, I guess, a direction or anything to do. So I kind of went and did a lot of things, Connie. I've done everything from being a certified licensed interrogator to doing like undercover security for years out in Las Vegas, arresting thousands of people probably.
Wow.
Working in some of the loan industry to some extent, to just being an entrepreneur. And so I've done a lot of digital marketing over the last almost 20 years now. I can't even believe it. I don't even feel like I'm that old yet.
You don't look that old at all. You look great for your age. What are you taking?
Well, I don't know. A lot of wine. I hear it has some redeeming quality.
Well, we'll market whatever that wine is, and we'll just all do way better than we ever thought in crypto.
I just been doing digital advertising for a long time, and
I've launched a few different companies, marketing companies, a lot of different products, sold millions and millions of dollars to tens of thousands, if not more, small businesses all across the world. Got a lot of folks who I've helped out with their businesses, either digital or even physical businesses or not. Now, fast forward a little bit, I ran into Bitcoin and got interested in it around 2012 and 2013 and got very heavily invested in it too right around then. And it just took off. And then I ran into Dan and Stan in Austin, Texas. Believe me, I will never forget that weekend because I was able to spend a lot of time with them and a lot of other people. Everybody from Andreas Antonopoulos was there. Charlie Shrem showed up via a live stream because his arrest had just happened. I met just a myriad of people, and these folks right here, Dan and Stan, stood out amongst everybody in terms of the way they could articulate the discussion, what it was they were actually talking about, like the subject matter, and the subject matter for their foresight, really. And the last thing that stood out to me really was their integrity. And so I thought to myself, okay, and I started doing a lot of research on what they were up to and decided I 100% wanted to be involved. And from that moment on, I've pretty much just been sticking right here with Stan and everybody trying to change the world with this crazy stuff we do.
And Stan, is that how you remember it? Exactly.
No, lies, all lies.
Now, I'm curious, was it Dan and Stan or was it Stan and Dan? And did they have overalls, and is that why they stuck out? Or at least Stan.
They were looking very professional. They all had button-up BitShares shirts on. They've been handing out some cool T-shirts at the event. I think I still may have a couple of them in my closet.
Swag.
Yeah, just a little bit. But it's just enough. Like I said, we went and we had dinner. So a couple of my friends who are in the digital advertising industry, digital marketing industry, went to dinner with them and some of their team, and we must have been at dinner for 5 hours. I think we shut the whole place down because we were there talking so long about everything. And that's where Daniel really laid down to me his foresight for where things were going to go. And what's really funny is I could tell you this right now. It's 5 years ago. I'm seeing some of this stuff come to fruition. I've seen some of it come to fruition over these last couple of years, and I'm seeing more of it coming in June. And these are conversations that we had 5 years ago.
Okay.
Right? I've seen, I just remember this. It's funny for me because it was 5 years ago, and I'm seeing it happen, and more of it. And it's not just Dan and Stan's projects and projects that I'm working on with these guys too. It's other people that are building out these really cool projects. People that are here, even in Boise, Idaho, building out amazing blockchain projects, and it's just really cool to watch. It
is. Even me, just short amount of time I've been in this and learning, I can't believe how much I've learned. And Michael, it's an entire learning curve to get into this area. I mean, I've sold products on Home Shopping Network and QVC and infomercials and, business stuff and domestically as well as internationally and radio and television. And this is just so different. It is just different all the way around. The mindset and the people, the way they not just interact, but the way they carry business. It's not like a regular business contract kind of thing where it's this and that, black and white, whatever. It's very different the way people think. It's a whole different mindset. I love it. And I hope that's where the world goes to, because it's great. The other's just old and same old, and obviously a lot of problems. And you guys are really bringing some brightness to a future financially. So thank you for being a part of it all and me getting to join in here. So Stan, again,
thanks for being receptive, right?
Absolutely. And I believe more and more people like me, because I'm on the outside of you guys. You guys are so into it. You know exactly what's going on, and where I'm still dragging, trying to learn it. But just what I've learned is incredible, and I'm looking forward to learning more, just to stay on top of it. just to stay on top of it. But a lot of the things that I learned, well, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to learn is going to be gone in about 3 months, right? You guys continuously move forward. It's amazing. It's like the miner thing. You know, it's outlawed on BitShares. So, but you still need to know it for the other people out there that are dealing with it. But it's nice to know too that you've got someone that's going, no, we don't like that at all. No reason for it. You know, and just different philosophies just on that alone, which you guys have. So, but it's fun. It's fun to learn and bring in other people like me to go, what is this all about and how do I get into it? Because I want an alternative financially. And this is great. It's fun. And it's not just for financial reasons, but it's fun. It's a new way of doing things. It's like talking about Jonathan Baihai again. Just had him on Coast the other night. And, you know, he's using the BitShares blockchain, right?
Yeah.
And it's his lottery, or not lottery, but his betting.
Your place.
Yeah, that's all about being fair. It's more about being fair than betting. It's making sure everything is seen and nobody's in between, like with his bookie, that no one's in between trying to, you know, snag a little bit here and a little bit there, right? It's all just transparent. So I think it's excellent, you know, it's fun. It's fun. So now, last night we came in and we said, well, let me ask you this just real quick, Michael, while we got you here. Tell me about the 2 different articles today. I got my wrong paperwork over here. Sorry. It's right over there.
You're probably talking about the Forbes article on regulation.
Yeah, you had that one and another one that was on
legal tender.
Yeah.
And gold.
Yeah. So can you tell us about those? This Blue Rockers, by the way, you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, Crypto Connie here, along with Stan Larimer and Michael Taggart. Michael's just telling who he is right now, and he's going to tell us about these 2 articles that I saw today that came out today that were really impressive.
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, I've been talking about the same stuff with other people, and Stan and I have been very, very consistent with our thought process on this.
And by the way, Michael and Stan are partners with Cryptonomex. So.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of things going. But I'll say we've always been consistent in the thought process that while there are some regulations that are in place right now and regulatory bodies are in place right now, that should absolutely oversee some of the offerings that are coming out in the blockchain industry. Not one size fits all should be applied to this particular industry or case or the things that people are putting out. For practical reasons, as much as anything else, what makes the most sense is that there would be some new regulations be put in place and some new regulatory body being formed by the industry, because that's what the SEC is. It's a self-governing organization. And so why wouldn't a self-governing organization in blockchain and or crypto currency, or maybe both? What if there's a blockchain, you know, one in crypto, would form to educate? Because what we're having to do now is go to the SEC and go to I've educated state senators now on this and other people like this. I got to go to these folks and I have to educate them on it and bring them up to speed on it versus having a group of people who are industry folks coming together and form that regulatory body and not having to explain everything to everybody because they already kind of get the gist of what's going on and they can actually get to the crux of the matter, which is the regulation of that stuff and not having to explain what a blockchain is and how it interacts with something and how a token works and how things can get dispersed and what mining is and all this sort of crazy stuff. That's really what it comes down to. We've never been against any of the government regulators or organizations that are out there either trying to address this because that's kind of their job, you know, and people are asking them, hey, what are you doing about this? And so they have to respond. They need to do something about it. And that makes sense too. What it comes down to in that article is I'm saying that at the end of the day, we shouldn't put it on those regulatory bodies to babysit us in what we're building and doing as an industry. We should take up the mantle ourselves and work directly with those other bodies on matters that are relevant within our ecosystem, just like I would hope that they would come and work with us on matters that are relevant in our ecosystem, right? And that we can all come together and form some real regulation that doesn't stifle innovation, that rewards people for being mavericks and innovators and taking risks, and also make sure that people are protected and informed when they make decisions about what it is they may be buying or investing or otherwise in. Is that, that's really what it comes down to.
And that's all good and nice, except what if they're afraid of you? They don't want you to be here.
Well, that's possible, but I think most fear comes from lack of education.
Absolutely.
Number one, they just don't understand it, so you fear something, and that just goes back to your primal, senses, and whether you need to eat it, whether you want to mate with it, or whether you want to run from it. Those are the three things. That's your reptile brain talking. Within a split second, those three things have already been decided upon, and you're
eat it, mate with it, or what, or kill it,
or run,
or run. Oh, okay.
Yeah, or
kill it. You can add kill it, right?
Right, and so a lot of fear comes from these primal things like that. Once they're educated and take a little time to understand the process and what it is more, I think that they won't fear it. I think that they would probably embrace it. I spend a lot of time on calls with some of the biggest developers in the banking industries, in the fintech industries, and in the development industries that are kind of servicing these guys. And I don't have to name drop on here or anything like that. Let's just say, anybody you can think of, any financial institution in the world that is at a certain level, I've probably talked to their C-suite, executives there at one time or another in the last year or two, on conference calls or otherwise, trying to educate them about what this stuff is. A lot of them still, they believe that there's definitely use cases for it, and they are going out there and building them all the time right now. But they still don't understand, I think, the fundamental values behind it. They're trying to make it fit into their paradigm, and they're trying to make it fit into the thing that in their mindset and where they're at, how they conduct business this entire time. And by trying to fit the technology into something like that, it's not working out so well for them, and they're frustrated, is what I'm hearing from them. They're frustrated. They can't build it. The use cases they built haven't worked out so well for them. They don't think that it's going to be workable anytime soon. And it's because, again, they're approaching it from I think the wrong angle. They're approaching it from somewhere that versus, I think you understand what I'm saying. It comes down to, again, is yes, there's going to be some fear there, but with the education, with us working with them, with us showing them, and hopefully, like I said this to somebody last night, actually, I said, my choices are this when it comes to working with the regulators and working with the banks and working with the quote unquote enemy, and they're not my enemy. They're the existential enemy, the boogeyman in the room and stuff. My choices are to give them my Ferrari and let them drive off in it, or I can ride in the Ferrari, and every once in a while I can kind of maybe grab the steering wheel a little bit and move it in a direction that I feel like I can contribute to, and that's the difference. If I'm not in the car, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where they're going to go. But if I'm in there, I can have some sort of influence, and I feel like that's probably the course of action we need to take.
So now we all know that Michael is a Ferrari guy. I would choose Mercedes in that one. What would you choose, Stan? What car would you choose? I love that. And so, Michael, just before we go on to Stan and remember that he's there, what about, that's cool about the Forbes thing. You've got this neat little title now. Tell us about that.
They had approached me a little while ago just from some of my writings and otherwise, and it's an invite only. You do have to pay for your membership because you do get, oh, you're fine. I've got a couple of dogs running around here somewhere.
That's Penny.
But, they invited me. It is a paid membership there because there's a lot of additional benefits, concierge services and otherwise, and a lot of networking services. I can essentially, ask a concierge to get me in touch with anybody in the Forbes, industry or tech or attached to Forbes, and they will do a personal introduction, get us on the phone, all sorts of stuff. So that alone's worth it. But it's invite only to certain level of companies, the executives in those companies, to come and bring insights for folks to read about and really to absorb from people who've been out there in the trenches and are actually, doing big things. And so I was really, as I said before, I'm just delighted to be a part of that they're giving me the opportunity to spread more of the message that I've been, putting out there, and I'm going to continue to put out there, and hopefully moving the needle of conversation past a lot of the surface stuff, which is just, this coin's going up and up in value.
Right.
Well, what do you do? What is it doing to change financing industry? How is it being used in real cases? Is it actually, something that's being used at all? I mean, like Litecoin, for instance, doesn't really have that many transactions going on per day, right? There's actually very few. I can probably tell you here in just a moment how many transactions they have. And so the conversations need to be about the usability. They've had 30,000 transactions in the last day, and they averaged 32,000 in the last 7 days alone. That's not that much when you've got us over at, let's just say, Steam, that uses graphene technology, going in at a whopping 1,737,000 transactions in the last 24 hours alone, right? With the record of over 2 million transactions in one day. And BitShares, which is about half a million transactions. It's been a couple of slow days lately, but at a record of almost 1.5 million transactions in a day.
Yeah.
And so those kind of conversations, how will it be used in remittance? What companies are actually building on it right now? Who's moving the needle on regulation? Who's the states that are going out there trying to actually
and all that's going to take time, right? Because they're like, where I'm at, huh? What is it? What does that mean? You got to get to that level. So that's what you're going to be doing, right? And that being able to be a part of this great new title will help you do that, right? I mean, because it's just going to take time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you're ready to get past that time, and people like me are still learning it. But I understand they have to get there too. It's tough. I mean, but that's what hopefully I can help out there too a little bit, and we can all again, it's just going to take time. So
I'll leave you with one last thing. Of course, I was in a meeting with a bunch of entrepreneurs in Atlanta the last couple of days. These are guys that they're not even in crypto. This is completely. They have their own SaaS companies, software as a service companies. They deal with a lot of other entrepreneurs, small businesses, and otherwise. And a couple of the guys in the group were, as we were doing our roundtable for a 2-day roundtable, were saying, I want to thank you so much, Michael, because you've become a huge influence in my life. I've been reading a lot of your content, but more so what they've said is that I remember you talking about this in 2012 and 2013 and 2014,
nice.
And I didn't do anything about it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And now in the last year or two, and they've all said the same thing. They're like, it was like a light or a switch flipped. And I went, wait a minute. And now they're fully committed to getting involved in the crypto industry. And I told them around the room, I said, all of you guys, you guys make 7-8 figures a year in your businesses. You guys know how to run successful businesses, marketing. You teach entrepreneurs all around the world how to do that for their own businesses. I said, it would behoove you to consider getting involved in this industry to provide the same services to these folks that are building things so they can be good at building things. You guys can be good at what you're doing, and everybody can benefit from it. And they all went, oh, man. And a couple of them said, yeah, we've just started doing that recently and applying our skills to that. So, it's taken these guys, and I meet with them all the time, and we're very close. It's taken them a few years to really catch it, and they're drinking out of a fire hose now.
What would give me their age group? What do you think their age group is?
Anybody, I mean, they're all from anywhere between their, I'd say, mid-20s all the way up to their mid-40s.
Okay, that's pretty good, because people I've talked to, investors along the way about this, any of them probably above 60 don't even want to talk about it. They're like, I've made my money. I don't even want to learn whatever that is. It's amazing, I would think, because they're these guys that they wanted to know everything and the ins and outs, and they do know everything in business and finance, all of it, but they do not want to get into it. They don't want to know anything about it. They're done. And I was surprised. I thought that they would want to get into it, because those people, I would think, would pick it up quicker because they already have this business background and this financial background. But I'm learning that they're like, No, I want no part of it. I'm amazed at that. So, Stan, how are you? What's going on? Did you want to talk?
Oh,
hello,
Connie, are you there?
So, everything Michael's saying is on the up and up. We good?
Yeah, the one point I wanted to make back there a little while ago, whenever he was talking about discussing with the regulators things, one of the things I think we fail as an industry to teach the regulators about it is the benefits for them.
Yeah.
We talk about, the benefits for everybody else in the world, but because the blockchain is transparent and documents everything that happens and basically enforces all the rules, it's possible to build blockchains that enforce every rule and make it impossible for people to break the rules. Now, that's not true for every kind of rule. The blockchain chain can't stop somebody from making false promises about something. But anything in terms of how business is done, our rule that the code is the law is a pretty good thing. And, it would be really great if the law could be enforced a little more uniformly and without the human element in it, and so on. And so I think we need to do a little bit better job of pointing out to them that this is revolutionary for them too, because it takes their resources away from the rote checking of facts to more making judgment calls about, is what this person did appropriate or not. So It could be a huge benefit for them, and I think we need to share that where we can.
Yeah, that's what I like. Just going back to Jonathan again, with the bookie and the betting, it was all about being fair and knowing and seeing every transaction, when it came to the betting, which is normally, dark secret, somebody snagged a little here and there. So is it possible that in the future we could do voting? So when we vote for a congressman or president or anything, it will be seen who and what and when and why, and there wouldn't be any of these, conversations.
Well, yeah, that was part of the original concept that Dan had, and he's talking about putting the blockchain into all forms of governance where people can actually enter into the code of law that they want to actually obey. There are a lot of things like that can be done. And of course, Follow My Vote was something a couple of years ago that made a lot of progress on that, on the BitShares blockchain, doing voting. Unfortunately, it takes a while to get the system to change. They ran out of money before that happened. But I think there was an election that was done recently in one country.
There's one, somebody just reached out to me recently saying that they are developing a voting platform and would like some of our input on it. And one of the things I do want to point out is that the BitShares reference wallets do come with a full suite of voting options in there for different things. So it can be adapted for just about anything, like anything from public to municipal elections to corporate or boardroom elections or votes or whatever you want to, really.
Excellent. I like that. So how does that work, though, if you're doing it in voting? It seems like to me the blockchain really works with a transaction. So, well, that would be the transaction, right? The vote would be the transaction. You always just set up the polls to that.
Right.
Okay.
And there's a record of the fact that you voted. You can go check the results of your own vote, make sure it's been counted, but nobody knows how you voted. But you can see the effect. And the really cool thing is that you can change your vote right up until the last moment of the election. So if, your candidate drops out in the primary, you can switch to the second one. And then when that one drops out, you can switch to the third one. And finally, you can vote for the last man or woman standing. And,
wow.
It would be like a gladiator battle for a presidential election. Can you imagine how much more entertaining it would be to be able to, it's like a horse race, a literal horse race.
Right.
And you have no election polls because everything would be done in real time and 100% transparent. And so there wouldn't be people coming out from, voting and not saying the truth or, playing around with that or otherwise.
And they got to be, can you figure out that they're legal voters as well that way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That happen too?
Yeah. That would just, you prove your identity to the blockchain as part of the getting an account process and then off and running.
I love it. Well, where have y'all been all of our lives? Right?
Right here. right here working on the skill set to build this stuff, right? It takes a little time to acquire the skills needed to pull something like this off.
Absolutely. So if you're just joining us, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, Crypto Connie tonight. Stan Larimer is here as well as Michael Taggart, and we're going to be taking some live Q&A. It is live, and we're going to be taking some questions and answers. But before that, tell us about the breaking news that was yesterday with the site.
Well, we've had a site that's been up for a long time. We were so super proud of that site when we put it up back in 2014.
BitShares.org, right?
Yeah, BitShares.org. And, it was chock.
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
It was chock full of the best technology out there. And at the time, when it first came out, what we said was, it's going to tell us all the revolutionary things about BitShares. And it was more like an encyclopedia than anything else. But of course, one of the things that we always said we would do, clear back to the very first article on it, Bitcoin and the 3 Laws of Robotics, back in 2013, where we said that, we wanted to make something incorruptible, decentralized, and that we would have to eventually let go of it and let it run itself, because as long as we were still in the loop, it would be centralized around us. And so as much as the technology is decentralized on a blockchain and everything, people sometimes overlook the fact that the ecosystem needs to be decentralized. And so one of the achievements we're most proud of is that we were able to get it handed off to a lot of different companies that were building on top of it, so that the blockchain can be there, and lots of different ways to view and use the blockchain were possible. And we could get out of the business of having anything to do with the blockchain. And so the past couple years, we've been in the business of trying to attract more people to come in and do that, build on top of it. But we left the community to run everything, and that's fine. They elected their representatives and so on. But the basic website itself fell into a state of just neglect.
Suckiness? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm just kidding.
Be nice, Connie.
Well, and I only say this jokingly because, just because I went on there and I would ask all these questions all the time, and Stan would say, we're working on it, right? So, and you all know this, and people would ask me, I can't learn anything about them. Red flag. And I'm like, no, it's not, So this is a great thing for you guys, and you all know it too.
Yeah. And so we handed off the access and control to the site. Somebody has to hold the actual ownership of the website. So, we did it since we created it in the first place, but let other people run it. But, there were people that would come in and do certain great things like updating the wallet and making it better and better. The fundamental ability to get more marketing content in it, more links to other stuff, and actually to get some bugs that you probably experienced fixed. Yeah. It's what I call the tragedy of the commons. When there's nobody who has the responsibility for it or a profit motive to keep it competitive, then nobody does it. So a lot of the things that needed to be done weren't getting done. And so that's what we announced last night, was that we had found a company that was willing to take it over and do that work and help make, they got a nice long list of things that they want to do to improve it. And so we selected them to take the handoff of, not just control, but the entire ownership of the website, because we wanted to be completely hands off. Okay. But when you decide who to hand that prize to, of course, there's a lot of people that say, well, why didn't you hand it to this group or that group? And,
right.
Part of the Steemit article I wrote last night described our reasoning for the thing. And, we're not trying to pick favorites or something like that, but one of the considerations was, would we be making another center of centralization somewhere if we went and gave it to the most popular or the one that's doing the most stuff already? That'd be a temptation, right? Oh, these guys over here are doing a whole lot of stuff. Let's give them more stuff to do. But of course, when you're trying to decentralize something, you don't want to do that. So you want to pick, ideally, a young, fresh organization that's got a lot of energy, a lot of new ideas, ideally located in a different part of the world that has different regulatory constraints, because we got lots of people that are in China and America and Europe, and they're interacting with their governments, and great. But if we can put something in this case like in Thailand, great team over there, and now we've got another part of the world that we've brought into the overall picture,
right.
And that helps to keep that decentralization going. So we didn't intend to offend anybody by not picking them, but the argument that an organization is really great and big is actually an argument not to give them a bigger piece of the pie. Yeah. So
it wasn't eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You didn't do that number.
No, it really wasn't, and there had been some folks who had still been working on it, here and there, just keeping it at least alive, or otherwise. But we just, we couldn't get done some of the things that needed to be done on it. A fresh, look on the site, sorry, but the site's way too 2010. I mean, it looks like it was developed, or it was created, by developers, not by people who, create good user experiences as well,
right.
and have marketing and other things on it. That's another part of the problem with complete decentralization of an organization sometimes, is that you do sometimes need to have some of that in order. You need to have some sort of element of human centralization in software, a decentralized software, I think, in order to guide it. That's why I feel like delegated proof of stake is more decentralized than any other type of consensus algorithms, because while we can choose who is getting paid and who is being paid as a block producer and producing those blocks, we can pull that vote anytime we want to somebody else. And so that you can't do that in Ethereum or Bitcoin. The miners hold those chains hostage, as far as I'm concerned. And also, they're extremely centralized large pools that can never be dislodged, from their place and position. And it's just, it's all of that. And so, like Stan said, the level of decentralization with us moving it out to another organization, I've been talking to and working with these guys in particular now for many months, and just watching them, seeing how they handle everybody else personally, in the chat groups, on the forums, and in their technology and their development skills. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the best teams I've seen for development of BitShares ecosystem blockchain, just as much as anybody else that I've seen. And I've dealt with a lot of the folks that are developing and have been for BitShares for many years. And again, I'm not saying anybody's any better than anybody else. It's just when all of these things are taken into consideration, and the fact that like the BitShares Foundation and the App Asia guys, they've kind of worked together, and they have a partnership, and the App Asia guys are actually the official BitShares representative of Thailand. They have the title BitShares Thailand.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, excellent. They are a legal registered entity for, BitShares, and they have, all the docs, and they've been working directly with these guys. And so I think that's a really great thing to also bring to the table, and to, when we do this handoff, be handing this off to a group that is being seen as being a very effective group, a group that is also being seen as having the skills to, and the reputation to officially represent the BitShares brand legally, in their jurisdiction and otherwise.
And when will we see these changes?
We're looking at it right now. We have the site done. We're doing a couple of extra tweaks. The guys who actually did the layout, which are not a part of the App Asia group, they just donated their time, did the entire layout, and then handed it off to the App Asia guys. And then eventually, it looks like they're actually now working on it again with them. They're collaborating. So this is what I'm saying, is that these two groups that aren't even together are now collaborating and building this thing out. And I think it's fantastic. So we're hoping within the next day or two, we should see a swap over. And I think you'll see some additional changes over the next few weeks as well, as we add some more information, and there's some other features that we're talking about providing to just make it a better user experience for everybody while they're on there. That's really important, especially when you're bringing in new people. It's great because we've all been playing on that site for years,
Right.
A lot of other people haven't, like you.
Yeah,
right?
and when you said too, friendly, user friendly to people like us, not people that we don't, I even asked Dan a lot, hey, what do I download? .dmg or .exe? I don't know. I got a Mac. What do I do? Oh, .dmg is always a Mac. .exe is PC, right? So
right.
I don't want to have to figure that because I don't know. I'm so used to just going, if you have a Mac, boom. If you have PC, boom, right? So making it easy for us, as simple as that. But it is, I had the same talk with Jared Rice on Blue Rock Talk, and we may have even talked about it on Coast. No, Coast was just about what had happened with him recently, but here on Blue Rock we were talking, and he said, it was a pain, it was a hassle, but it needs to be done to connect with all those other millions of people out there that you guys haven't reached yet. That little
user
bit
experience is primary, and it's going to be a primary goal of ours and the App Asia guys, BitShares Thailand, for all intents and purposes. It's definitely high on our list because I realize and I understand very much I'm not marketing to myself. I'm not marketing to other developers that
like
can look at something. Right. I'm developing to mainstream folks and to folks that have a different outlook and a view on things. And we need to cater to them, not them cater to us if we want them to adopt. And you only have one shot sometimes to influence them. You make that sale or get them to come in and be a part of it. If they're frustrated on first contact, you better believe they're going to avoid second contact.
Yeah, that's why there's a whole lot of people already going, no, I tried it, no. So you got to get some of those back maybe. But you probably will when some of the other people took that chance and that risk and went on and educated themselves a little bit further than most people. And they're, moving into another better and bigger neighborhood with a yacht or something. Then people go, what? What's this thing again? And as long as they all know it's not just Bitcoin, you got to get past that too. It's not just Bitcoin. Everybody says that to me. I don't want to know about Bitcoin. It's not. I don't want to tell you about Bitcoin. Right.
And one more thing that I should say is that that's what all the news about is this cycle. This is just one of a continuing series of new things that we want to bring and stick on top of BitShares. Last few weeks it was all about quintic.com and gold-backed currencies.
Keep going.
Right? And that's another whole kind of a interface or user experience. You go there, you don't even know you're using the BitShares ecosystem until you get into it a little bit. And so, as we go along, we hope to add more and more companies like that. And of course, you got the whole Bitcoin Latina functionality that's coming in. And so every one of these things is like another center of excellence that has their own plans and visions, like Bitcoin Latina talking about putting some CubeSats up in the space to bring that type of connectivity to the unbanked parts of the world. So this particular thing is just one more piece of the puzzle. And, just like you wouldn't expect us to take Quintric and put it in some other centralized organization, and you wouldn't expect us to put Bitcoin Latina in an existing big organization. We try to spread it out as much as possible into as many parts of the world as possible in order to achieve the goal we set back in 2013 of having a completely hands-off, decentralized system, both at the blockchain and the industrial level on top of it.
When this happens, can I go to the BitShares.org and look up Quintric? Can I look up Bitcoin Latina? Can I go to that since I know everything's BitShare? Can I go to that site to learn about the others and that direct me to those, or how will that
eventually
work?
you're going to be able to see that under the partner section, and otherwise hopefully I'd like to see some some discussion or some things on there showing off some of the assets that are on there. And I believe that Quintric will become one of the best in class assets that is on the network, hands down. It's unlike anything that has been released out there. A lot of people are raising ICO money and building something like that. And I don't even say like it. They're building a commodity-backed cryptocurrency, and they got some other things that are involved with it. But they're building, this thing. Unfortunately for them, I don't think they realize that Quintric is already operational. It is fully built, and we're not raising money. We're selling our product, and that's a completely different thing. We're actually able to operate right now. Quintric, I believe, also addresses a matter that has not been addressed by any other cryptocurrency or anybody else in the ecosystem at all, which is the discussion of crypto or digital legal tender, right? A legal tender. And I believe in, and I don't even want to get into the craziness of crypto. It's that if gold and silver can already be a legal tender, and if gold and silver can be a legal tender and spendable at point of sale registers with an Amex card or any Visa, MasterCard, as is already working right now and has already been going for a few years, what we did is we walk in there and we apply our blockchain to what they had, and all we did is just applied a whole new level of liquidity on top of the gold and silver markets. But not just that, the ability to now send gold, silver as legal tender anywhere in the world in less than 3 seconds for practically nothing. Or maybe we just decide that there will be no fees one day. Who knows? Right now, we'll charge a small nominal amount to, do the transaction, but nothing like that's ever been around. To be able to have it as a legal tender as well is just the icing on the cake, I believe, for this whole thing. I don't know how Stan feels about it, but it makes me happy, and I smile every time I say the word Quintric. Yeah.
I just love the name Quint in general, just Quint, not just the company name, but Quint, which is the name of the tokens, right?
And it's a unit of measurement,
right,
Quint is spot, right?
And I remember a game growing up called Quint, so I'm like, Quint, I know that name. There must have been a reason for that. You always kind of feel. So we're getting some questions coming in. If you're just now joining us, it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I have Stan Larimer here, as well as Michael Taggart, Cryptonomex dudes. Actually, Stan is CEO, and Michael, you are president, right, of Cryptonomex. And from there, you get all this other good stuff that we keep talking about with Quintric and Bitcoin Latina, and what's the Silk Pathway, Silk Roadway, Silk Trail?
Silk Skyway.
Skyway, that's it. I think those are some of the names you said along the way, too. That's why I'm kidding you about that. But these are all wonderful things. So Blue Rockers out there, new ones or old ones, and Steamians and anybody else that's out there, please if you like what's going on right now, hit that like button. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. We're taking Q&A here tonight, so if you have a question, please put it in the live chat with capital letters so I can see it. So just before I go to what we have already in there, I want to ask you one thing here, Stan. You went, and I don't know if Michael, if you went or not. You were just in D.C. Is that anything you can talk about?
We'll be talking about that in a separate category, but
so it was a good question.
Yeah, you can label that category bombshell, but that's
yeah. We definitely don't want to tip our hand on that one just yet.
Okay.
But let us just say that the BitShares ecosystem is going to be getting a nice little shot in the arm. So
all right.
We'll go with that.
Okay, so just to in a couple of days, maybe, or a week, or we're looking at a long-term month.
We are not
never make promises.
Yeah.
Spoken like
Any
a
day,
true man.
every day.
No, it's a man thing. Yeah. You told me we were going to go away for this week, or no, you promised. Oh no, I got to do it now, right? So people don't take that literally to not make promises. I just want to say that. But I get what you're saying. So okay, so well, let me hit some of the questions here. Let's see. and I never know how. I'd like to say everybody's name that writes in with these, but some of these names I just can't. So it's Miss Kevsif Fan, who is definitely a Blue Rocker and been here often, but it's still MSCAVSFAN. So we'll just go with that. Will we have to download a new version of BitShares with this changeover?
No.
No. So when Michael means no, he goes, okay. That's what I heard from Michael.
Oh, what a nose for news. She says,
right.
I detect something in there. There's got to be an asterisk. He just sniffed an asterisk.
It's that primal thing. Okay. So no, won't have to do anything. It's just going to change over. But does that affect the wallet in any way?
Well, there's several wallets that integrate within the BitShares ecosystem and everything anyways. So they can, I don't want to sound like President Obama with the health insurance. You can keep your wallet if you like your wallet, but you may want a different wallet. You don't know. I can never promise that, because the BitShares community may decide to come out with some other crazy wallet, and I may not have any say in the matter. And, but Michael, you said on YouTube that I like my wallet, I could keep my wallet. So
that's true.
I would say that there's no intention for any big changes like that. Last thing we want to do is throw another curveball at anybody or make them download any more things or anything like that.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Roger Maris writes, this is big, guys. When everyone can go to a partnership page to see what companies and projects are using BitShares blockchain, it will open people's eyes. This information was hard to find for many.
It's hard for a lot of people, even that are in the BitShares chat groups, every single day talking to know about what's all being built on there. I see people who are on there that I feel like they live in these chat rooms because I see them in there all the time.
I know.
And they'll say something about a project, and they'll say, what is that? I've never seen anything about that before. And I'm like, have you been living under a rock? I mean, it's been in here the whole time, but it happens. So, yeah, we need a place where you can go and have a showcase. And, the thing, not every project that gets built on BitShares or built, is going to be successful, but success is labeled sometimes by levels of expectation, and it depends on the party involved and what their perception of success is. So I would say sometimes that when I fail at an initiative, I did achieve success. I was successful in discovering how something would not work. I was successful in discovering a process that I may need to change or fix within myself, my organization, or how I do business or otherwise. So it's just how you perceive it. And some people are so very critical about that. I for one, would love to facilitate and enable anybody to come build in the BitShares ecosystem and proudly display that these folks are trying to do something cool. Let's try to support them, and if they succeed, awesome. And if they don't quite succeed or, they crash the plane 200,000 times before they build one that actually flies, then great,
That's right. Well, when people like the BitShares blockchain because of, outlawed miners, because so many transactions and because, the amount of time, then they want to know what all's on the BitShares chain so that they can look into getting something there. Oh, wow, I went to bitshares.org and I see that this is on here. I haven't heard much about this, but they're on that blockchain that I love. So, I'm going to look into them a little further. So that'll be really nice because I know it really is all about the blockchain and which one you're on. And people are starting to learn about choosing the blockchain as opposed to the coin is what I'm starting to pick up.
But as Stan just said, Quintric uses the BitShares blockchain, and you would never, ever know it up until a certain point where you want to transfer your Quintrics out of that ecosystem and into one of those wallets where it will interact on even a much greater basis with these other currencies and trading pairs, right? Yeah. But at the moment, if you look at this or the app, you would have no idea.
Right. Stan, you doing all right?
Yep, I guess.
Okay. Reverend Davey, hello. Thank you for joining us. Jamie Spademan has agreed to that. Pat Konchak, How does Hashgraph compare to DPoS?
Well, I would say it doesn't compare to DPoS. It's not a true.
Now, for people like me, can you explain what that is?
Hashgraph is a different type of consensus type technology. I kind of use that word loosely because I don't feel like it is truly decentralized. It is distributed. So it is a distributed type of consensus technology, but it's sure not a decentralized type. Some other projects are using it. They do claim to have capabilities of processing transactions much, much higher than Bitcoin and Ethereum, closer to the levels of what we can do without breaking a sweat. I've gone into their chat rooms and talked to them and specifically said, your security validators are not up to par if you're looking at total decentralization and this and this. And I asked them specific questions, and they said, you're absolutely right, but we're not trying to build that. We're not trying to build DPoS. We're not trying to build something that decentralized. We're trying to build what we're building here. Fair enough. I don't believe that they have the capability to compete with delegated proof of stake in any way, shape, or form anytime soon, and that would probably be for the next couple of years at least.
Stan, anything to add to that?
Nope.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you that I spend my time doing a whole lot of things, and it's not reading up about other people's work.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you are so busy with what you're doing now. It's hard to get a hold of these guys, by the way. It's not easy. They work very hard, both these guys, for sure. Okay, Rich Hanna says, or asked the question, how does BitShares make money?
Well, BitShares at a fundamental level is designed to make money by doing a whole lot of little transactions, which, they're just basically those fees are taken and put back into reserve pool, which turns around and then pays people for doing the work or running the network. Anytime we get enough transactions to offset the costs, then it makes money. And what that means really is taking BitShares out of circulation and locking them up, which makes them more scarce, which makes the value of BitShares tend to go up relative to the market value, because you're cutting down supply and assuming that demand stays constant or grows. So that's the fundamental model behind the whole thing: is supply and demand, simple economics, and closed system.
So Rich goes on to say, so how does a new company running on BitShares drive value to BitShares?
Well, okay, let's take any one of a half dozen different companies that are inbound. What are we excited about? First thing we're excited about is the new users that they bring. A company might have millions of users already that are coming into their system. Now, if they start using our blockchain, then that means people are going to find out about it. They're going to already have done the process of getting a wallet, and that means the next time there's an opportunity to do something with BitShares, they've already done that. So it's a chance for them to then discover other things happening in the ecosystem, and the more people that are in there interacting, the more the whole thing grows. And it's all about adoption. That's what everything is. And so when we get that level of adoption, there's more demand for the underlying currency, which enables you to purchase the services that are offered by everybody else there. So it's just a big upward spiral of new users, and the more people that are there using it, of course, the more people want to come use it because there's more people there. It just is. That's the kind of creating of a hurricane, if you will, that we're trying to make happen.
So with Rich again, does the company building on BitShares pay some sort of fee?
Not in general. I mean, not anything different than anybody else does. If you're going to create a coin, there's a fee for creating your own custom coin. And, of course, if you're going to do transactions, every transaction has a small fee. And that purpose of that fee is just to keep the lights on, keep the people that are running the computers, with enough money to pay for it.
Well, and also the fees also help from spam attacks. If people just spamming orders, you could get DDoS, basically denial of service attacks, if you did not incur a fee. So it's kind of if you want to DDoS us, it's going to cost you. It's going to be expensive.
Well, I would think you got to make money somehow. I mean, everybody still understands you got to do that.
So,
right?
Yeah, the committee that sets those fees sets them pretty low right now. So while they're there, just tiny enough to keep you from it being free to deny service. It'll cost you something if you flood our network, but the average person barely notices it.
And if you're just joining us, you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. It's Crypto Connie here, Stan Larimer and Michael Taggart. The links are down below, and the articles that we spoke about with Michael, as well as Stan's article. And also, if you want to get into the BitShares wallet, I got a link down below. Tell them the difference between a lifetime membership and not, because if you get a lifetime membership right now, it's a great time to get it because we're pretty low on, or the price of BitShares is pretty low right now. So what's the difference between a lifetime membership and a regular membership?
I'll fill that one. Regular membership's just when you go in there and you create an account and everybody starts out as a regular member. If you go into the membership option area and you pay a one-time fee, you get to upgrade your account to a lifetime membership. Why that's important? A couple different reasons. Number one, if you want to potentially run for the committee and be a committee member, you need to be a lifetime member. If you want to refer other users to the BitShares ecosystem and get a small fee for every time, you get up to 80% of the fees for the users that you bring in. So, Connie, if I gave you my referral fee and then you're buying and trading and all that stuff, I'm getting 80% of the fees that you're accruing through that referral system. So there's some incentivization for people to come in there and bring other people, or for a business to build upon it. And as they're bringing in all these users, they're being able to create another profit stream with their fees and the referrals, right? So you've got that. And you also have reduced fees. So it may cost you, it was previously cost you about, half a cent or maybe about a penny to a transaction, right? But if you were a lifetime member, it cost you less than a third of a cent, right? Okay. And so you also have reduced fees. And so there's a lot of different reasons why you want to have that lifetime membership. Anybody who's really serious about trading in there, because you also get a rebate on your own fees. If you're trading and you're trading pairs or you're doing whatever you're doing, the fees that you're accruing are being rebated back to you through your membership and your vesting.
And when you get that membership, what's the cost of it? Because I just remember that now's a better time to do it than if it's really high.
Oh yeah, it was almost like $1,500. Again, it's based upon the. I'm actually going to go in there and look at the fee structure so I can give you the exact amounts right now, but it's based upon what the committee overall decides to set the fees at, and then everybody decides to vote, lower or raise the fees as needed. So right now, a regular transaction would cost you approximately. That's so tiny. It's 0.0024 cents, so way less than a penny, right? And if you're a lifetime member, it costs you 0.0005 cents. So we're talking about so negligible of fees. If we're talking about getting a lifetime membership.
Yeah, how much would that be right now? And what are we at, 14 cents on BitShares?
Somewhere around there right now, yeah.
Sorry to say that, Stan. That kind of hurts, doesn't it? Oh, it's all right.
Opportunities stock up. That's all I can say.
That's right.
The cost is 110 BitShares. So whatever 110 times 14 is about $15. It was costing about $1,500.
Get the lifetime membership, and by the way, the link is down below where you can go, you guys.
I would strongly
excuse me, Connie. I got to go get my lifetime membership. I'll be back.
That's right. Exactly right. You guys, Blue Rockers, listen to this right here. Okay, so the next question is, Jamie Spademan is saying, "Hey, Stan and Michael, greatly appreciate your efforts. Any timeline for the release of 3.0?" That's a big one.
As soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, as soon as it's built.
There's right now we're in the study phase, looking at all the information. Of course, Dan keeps innovating like crazy, and so he's just announced some new tools that we can pick up and use, and so we'll be tossing that into the hopper with the rest of the technical team, figuring out exactly what's the best way to skin that cat. Want to get something out just as soon as possible so that we can put to rest that fear people have that BitShares is not going to keep up. No, BitShares is going to keep up. Trust me. And we've got such a wonderful head start on everything. But there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I want to give the engineers a chance to really think it through. But this will increase the value for the current BitShares system, interface it with all the EOS system that's out there, and do so in such a way that there become a whole lot more uses for BitShares products.
Can you describe what that is, the BitShares 3.0, to people that are new to this?
Well, it will probably be a parallel blockchain that does, let's just call it a glue or interface function between all the EOS chains that are likely to come out, because I expect there'll be more than one EOS spun off. And so we want to be located in a position where we can serve all those EOS chains. And so the actual stuff that goes into this chain is that interfaces to BitShares and projects all of its products and services out into the EOS environment is the design requirement. And how they do that is, for the technical guys to figure out.
And EOS is?
EOS is Dan Larimer's magnum opus, if you will. It's his fourth generation blockchain, and super scalable, super parallelizable, highly optimized for speed and smart contracts, and so a whole lot of the world is going to be building on that, and BitShares wants to be able to provide its services into that environment. So the design challenge is, how do you project BitShares in there? One thing would be to say jump into that pool, and the other thing would be a lifeguard sitting out there looking at the pool. And so, that's the question, because since EOS is designed to be multi-chain in its own right, the idea of moving onto it begs the question, move on to it where? And since it provides sidechain interfacing technology, it may be that what we want to do is sit outside or on a new EOS chain of our own that has interfaces back to BitShares and then services everything else.
Okay, all right, we lost Michael there for a second. So he's back. Oh, I don't have your sound, though. I don't hear you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I need to bring my dogs in. They were making a ruckus outside.
See, I need to know whatever that switch is that you just did, so because now little Penny's like scratching at the door. I put her outside. She's like, let me in. So I can bark whenever I want. So, and just to continue trying to get it into the minds of people that are new, like me, or even newer. So Dan is not just your son, but when you say fourth generation, was first generation BitShares and then Steemit and then, or?
Well, there were two generations of BitShares. And when we went from BitShares X to BitShares 2.0, that was what we called a pitchfork. Not just a tiny little change like Bitcoin does, but pitch all the code overboard, create a new chain, and that was the second generation. Third generation, Steemit, fourth generation EOS.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. All right, makes sense. Okay. Bland Rover, will BitShares ever have account recovery? Ooh, yeah, that's good.
That's an interesting topic. So, short answer will be, I think some services that are built upon BitShares will have account recovery. I don't know that it will be possible in all of the wallets or all of the software that is built upon it. We have been discussing that with some of our partners and the things that we're building. I myself, from my my unique background in digital advertising marketing, I've built SaaS products, sold SaaS products, info products, everything up and down and under the sun. So I get and understand the need for the customer experience again, and the need for the customer service. And that also falls under a regulatory matter and issue as far as I'm concerned, is that when people are putting money into something that you built, it's kind of upon you to hopefully ensure that there's some way that they're going to be able to have access to it or anything like that. And if you know the nature of man, know the nature of people, and it continues to happen, where does the liability start, and where does the negligence start as well? If you know that there's a problem, but you continue on, so it's a fine line. And I feel like the partners that we're working with and the things that we're developing, I'm going to try to build that option in as much way as I can, in a secure way that I can. And if I can do it in a blockchain-based way that's going to be secure, fine. Steam has that option, only a small option, and it's only in a certain circumstance can you actually recover that password. But it is still possible. Right, so we can probably figure something out, and we've been looking at methods to do that.
Excellent, because in everything we're already accustomed to that. Let's just say it's the retailers that you're right. It's us. We're the retailers, and we can do that with anything right now. Any app that we go to, or even our bank. If we go to an app with our bank or just whatever, we can always get our passwords reset, and it's something that's already in our mind that it can happen. So when we come here into your world, it's like, what? I got to remember my password, and it's this long. We're not even used to that. That's new to us, right? So seeing all that, that would be a very nice thing to know we didn't lose, $100,000 or even $500. That were
I consider it essential to moving to mainstream. So therefore, since it's essential to our success, we're going to have to find a way to do it. And there are people planning that, once again, in a decentralized way, multiple potential solutions at the application layer.
And that's one more plus for BitShares at that point. Just one more plus.
It's one more plus for the consumers coming in. They expect it. It's something that they see. And I don't think it's an appropriate response for us to just say, sorry, this is an ecosystem for adults, and, because that's been some of the standard responses, and it's some way condescending to people that are just trying to do something new. It's people live in this little zone, this little comfort zone, right? And they're right there in the middle of it. But if they don't try anything new, that zone never expands. And so when they go and they dip their toe out and they work hard on expanding out, their comfort levels, the last thing we want to do is smack them or make fun of them or yell at them or tell them they're stupid or that they're not smart enough or adult enough to do it. What we want to do is we want to welcome them in and try to help them out as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's just one thing. Losing things, that's very human to lose or forget. Those are certainly not passwords to remember at all. You can't memorize those. But you never know if there's going to be a fire or all your stuff's been stolen. Yeah. I know you all said, well, put it here and write it down here and do this and do that. But you just never know what's going to happen, and you can't trust everybody to do all that kind of stuff. I tell you, I may forget where I hid it. So that's not cool. I don't want to do that. All right, let me get to some other ones here. That was a great question, though. There's a lot of talk in between. So those of you out there that are asking questions, please put them in capital letters for me. Otherwise, I'm reading your all's conversation, which is a good conversation, by the way. There's a lot of people in there answering already. That one time, Michael, that you were on there, you were answering people's questions. That was great. I loved it. See, more adoption equals more liquidity. Liquidity equals more users equals more liquidity. Yes, absolutely. Bring on the NYSE.
That's my goal.
All in good time.
Give you a little time here.
Let's let's see. Hash. Somebody says hash, and again, you'll have to describe hash. Hash is faster, 50,000 trans per second.
We can do more than that, though. I don't know that I've seen Hashgraph's recent test results or otherwise. I did, Connie, just put a link in the chat that we have going on that you can put later on when you put this out or update folks, specifically talking about the differences between Hashgraph and DPoS technology. Stan's son Daniel also pointed out that EOS, which is DPoS, is faster and has a lower overhead than Hashgraph, because EOS in testnet was pulling well over 1 million transactions per second. So if you want to compare, let's compare, 50K versus not. And secondary to that is that we've, estimated up to 180,000 transactions per second. We can get into all sorts of arguments about whether it was a testnet or whether it was this or that or the other. But I would love to sit down and have a comparison Pepsi challenge maybe one of these days.
All right. That was Fraternal House that asked that. So I hope that answered the question there. Pat Konchak, you said some other things and then you retracted the words again. You guys know Pat?
I like Pat.
Pat, great. Always adds great material to this. So Rich, again, will there ever be a way to generate income from owning BitShare?
And income from owning BitShares. So if they're trying to say, well, I mean, I don't even want to try to interpret the question really.
Such as airdrops or leasing.
Airdrops or leasing BitShares. I don't know.
Well, there's lots of people that have the potential and have done in the past airdrops, which basically, if you're holding a coin, and somebody decides they would like to, ingratiate the community to their new coin, a common strategy is to give everybody who's got a BitShare one of the new coins or some combination of it. And so, that's always a possibility. It's entirely up to whether the BitShares community makes itself attractive to that. A lot of people say, I need to sit back and just wait for the world to come to me. But, if you really want that to work, you've got to be welcoming to new products. And when somebody comes and says, I'm going to share drop 5% or 20% or whatever onto them, you ought to give them a big hand and welcome and make them feel wonderful and go out and tell everybody about, wow, this is great. If you're just going to sit back and passively and say, what have you given me lately? Well, maybe people won't be as motivated to do it. So it's entirely up to the community to be gracious to newcomers and encourage them to do that.
Right.
Well, and the other part to this, too, is that with the BitShares platform in particular, we have the ability to create a user interface that does potentially allow somebody. Now, it's not built right now, but it could potentially allow somebody to take their BitShares and put them into an escrow account and loan the value to somebody else and give a micro loan to somebody else or otherwise. Micromoney.io, which is a great blockchain project. They've been out for years outside of the blockchain, but then recently brought in to the blockchain. They're moving over to the BitShares platform, and they do microloans. They scan a person's cell phone, 15 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's great.
And they come up with a credit score for people who don't have an ID and are unbanked. And this is in Asia and Africa and a few other places, and they're expanding out as they go right now. They're
that's
in
cool. That's great.
Right, so it gives you a credit score, and then it gives you loan options, and you choose your loan and repayment options, and you click it, and you're done. And so you could see a use case where somebody decides that they've got several, $1 million or BitShares or whatever they want to do, and they want to put it into an escrow pool to provide for loans, for microloans, and they get to take a little piece of a percent. It all just comes down to what's legal and how it's registered and built and otherwise. And if I have my say in BitShares 3.0 or otherwise, I'm going to work on developing out more ecosystems that provide those types of products that people are familiar with and allow more of our consumers and people that are interacting with our software to leverage their assets to make money if they want to. Now remember, if you loan money to somebody, you could potentially lose it. So we'll have to design some safeguards in there for some of that. But,
that's true. That doesn't go away, does it? If you still loan it, you might lose it, right? My dad would always
don't risk anything, you'll have exactly that.
Right, that's true. My dad would always say, if you loan anyone money, always look at it as you've given it to them, because you may never get it back. So if you do get it back, it'll be nice. I thought that's a good way to look at it.
The other coin smart contract that one person can issue a coin that's good for something that grows by 5% with respect to the dollar. So if somebody wants to make that deal with somebody else, they can. And that's another thing that I would say is a chance to earn money in a certain way by making a smart contract deal with somebody else who wants to essentially borrow money from you and pay you a return.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I like this conversation. So somebody wrote that MASDAQ tokens going to be airdropped in the near future to BitShare holders.
Oh, yeah. I heard Justin Fuzzy Fondreist was
I got to meet Fuzzy. Yeah, I got to meet Fuzzy. I haven't met Fuzzy yet.
Yeah, so Fuzzy was going to go and he's going to be doing some airdrops to the BitShares community relatively soon. So, to participate in the airdrops, you cannot have your BitShares in an outside exchange like Poloniex or otherwise. They have to be inside a BitShares type wallet.
Okay. And what are airdrops? I'm sorry, I guess I thought I knew what they were.
No, it's okay. It's if a company decides or anybody decides to create some tokens that they want to distribute. And so an airdrop would be something similar to saying, I'm going to give 5 of my tokens or 1 of my tokens to every person who has more than 5 BitShares in their wallets. And to just give them to you for free. Have at it, I've been the recipient, of a couple of airdrops due to the fact that I had BitShares in my wallet. And so somebody will send you some assets. Sometimes they may be worth nothing and they may continue to be worth nothing forever. At least they don't gain a negative value, so that's good. But, they, some of them could come to be quite valuable, right? And so one instance would be Jonathan Bahai and PeerPrice, and they did a drop a long time ago on everybody. So what they do is they'll just take a snapshot. They'll say, okay, we're going to, on this date and time, we're going to take a snapshot and see exactly what's in everybody's accounts at that day and time. And then that's what we're going off of as our ledger to do the drop. And so you've got a week to move your stuff over and then it's going down.
Oh, right? That's fun. Yeah.
And then after that week, you can transfer them out and you'll still get credit for the airdrop stuff. And hopefully someday that company's super successful and, you made some extra money.
That's fun. I like that. So, I learn a bit here and a bit there and a bit there. Where do you guys learn all your information from? I mean, where would I know how to get airdrops? Where would I know? There seems like there's so many outlets. Just even being on Steemit, you learn a ton. I can't believe how much you learn on that. And then what's the outlet that you're on? That you're writing on?
I'm writing on Forbes right now, and also on Medium.
Yeah, Medium. That's totally new to me. It's like Medium. You can learn so much on Medium and just, holy cow. Where do you go to find everything and the latest information?
Well, I go to my blog because that's pretty much.
That's true. I got to get outside of Stan's blog.
Stan stole my thunder. I was going to say, we're too busy blazing trails and writing up all the stuff that's happening and making things happen.
Yeah, but you guys you're like, about the airdrops, or where would I know to get the airdrops? You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm asking. And you guys are blazing the trail, by the way. It's true. I'm glad to be a part of it. Following behind you guys. It's like, where else do I go?
No, we're in the Telegram chat groups. A lot of action happens in there, just people making announcements and otherwise. One of the problems that I see, or I don't want to say problem, I guess necessarily a challenge that I've seen, is that there isn't the spot prominently on the BitShares.org website that shows a lot of the news coming in from news outlets or social media that there's being mentions of it or otherwise. I mean, it needs to be real time. It needs to show up on there. There needs to be a resource for quick and easy questions just like that. And we've had facts on there and other things like that in the past, but I feel like the way that the information is displayed and organized is not a good user experience for people, and it needs to just be changed. Again, we're not trying to create an experience for ourselves. We're trying to create it for people, make it easy to consume this information so they don't have to go down the rabbit hole, because a lot of people don't have the time or inclination to do that. They want quick and easy consumption of the information. They want an ease of use, and then they got a smile on their face and they're happy, and they're going to go and tell all their friends about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stan,
So,
besides your blog?
No, that's exactly what I do. Anything I know, I probably learned on some chat or forum, or following a link that somebody posted there that took me to an article to read.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing I do. I don't really, have time to go out, and I used to read a lot of different stuff, but nowadays it's just trying to keep up with my to-do list is pretty much it.
Yeah, well, just so you'll know, it's already BitShares 0.40. That's why you've been gone for a while. You've been doing so much. It's already BitShares 4.0. So Rich is back again. Rich got some great questions. Rich, thank you so much. Can you please explain how MPAs work, and what are MPAs for people like me?
Ooh, market pegged assets. Okay. Stan, if you want to go on this one, I could throw in after that. I'm fine.
Well, market pegged asset, I guess, the easiest thing to think of is how a home equity loan works, right? If you go take your title to your house down to the bank and you give it to them and they lock it up and they give you a loan up to 80% of the value of your house, then that would be, allow you to still have your house appreciating, and at the same time, you've got up to 80% that you can go spend to start a business or something. And on BitShares, all we do is say, instead of taking your deed down, you put some of your BitShares and turn control of them over to the blockchain to be locked up as collateral for a loan, which you can now take in the form of a new coin that you can spend or sell. And that's what a market-pegged asset is. The definition of that coin can be defined as pegged to the value of a dollar, the value of a euro, value of gold, silver, or in the case of a hero, it could be pegged to a formula, which is a dollar plus 5%.
Okay.
So a market-pegged asset is an asset that tracks the value of something off the blockchain by smart contract promising you that no matter how that thing that's being tracked moves, you'll be given that amount of the BitShares at that price when you cash out. So
it's kind of like the first step in a commoditized market. See, so maybe there's bit gold on there. Now, there's no gold backing it, but it is an asset.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. There's bit gold and bit silver. I wondered about that. Yeah, thank you.
Right. So there's nothing technically backing that, but it is tracking the price of gold and silver, and holding that token will follow the price of gold and silver, whether it goes up or down. Okay. But also consider that there's going to be some of the market forces in play too. So it may be a little bit higher than a gold, so maybe a little higher premium, or it might be a little bit lower than the actual gold markets due to people continually selling or doing otherwise on it. So there's a few forces in play, but essentially, as Stan said, it's a price feed and it's pegged to a certain object or a certain type of formula or something like that. And again, that's where the Quintric becomes interesting, because it is gold on demand. However, it is being used as legal tender because it is following very strict guidelines for the usage of legal tender and how it's being, purchased or used at registers and otherwise. So, but you can still redeem it for gold. So it's kind of like an interesting, cool hybrid sort of thing that, again, nobody's really ever done before. I do fully expect, and I talked to a lot of banks and I talked to a lot of executives on these calls, and I fully expect that there will be institutional banks, institutional investment funds, institutional products and services that come into this ecosystem in the next couple of years. With the acquisition of Poloniex by Goldman Sachs and a few other things, I think you're going to see a radical change in what the exchanges look like and some of the products that are in there. I think you're going to see abilities for them to use their assets to give loans and stuff like that in a legal format for U.S. citizens. Bitfinex allows people to put their assets in there and then loan them out to others and take a piece of the action off of it, right? They get a charge of interest on it, but U.S. citizens can't participate because registered and legal for them to do it otherwise. So with Goldman Sachs coming in there and doing it, you can fully expect to see traditional banking type products being married with the exchanges and being married with blockchain. You're going to see commoditized tokens. You're going to see companies and indexes being formed, and you just might just see the New York Stock Exchange on the blockchain sooner than you think with them stepping into it.
Excellent, excellent. If you're just now tuning in, it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, Dan Larimer here, as well as Michael Taggart. And Little Penny Girl has arrived too, and she's quiet this way, so she maybe she just wants to be on the show. That's what it is. She's investing in BitShares, and she wants to know what's going on. She wants to give her little 2 cents worth, right? Is that it? Yep. She's telling me yes, that's right. You're welcome. Okay. All right. So this is the last segment. So those of you with the questions, please put them in the live chat in capital letters, please. While you're here, if you haven't hit like, please hit like. And if you are here and you've not subscribed yet, please do, because we've got, of course, a lot of Crypto Connie stuff coming up, which is the playlist for Blue Rock Talk here with a lot of crypto goodies coming your way. Another question here is this is Bland Rover, when can we deposit fiat directly into BitShares?
Well,
when somebody with a license to do so decides to do so.
That's a good answer. And another answer would be as soon as Quintric and we roll out the ability for the quints to be placed into the regular wallets, I think what you're going to see is that becomes a sort of on-ramp for people to use dollars and otherwise to get into crypto, either through, because at Quintric we already are taking credit cards and debit cards and ACH and wires, and we are licensed to do so, and I think that's going to be one way. And as Stan just said, if companies that are registered and legal to do this were to put on their thinking hat on for just a moment, they may want to think about this and provide that service to an industry that needs it quite badly, right? And we've got a couple of gateways like Open Ledger and a few others that are hopefully coming here soon. But it's going to take a company providing that service, pure and simple.
What about block trades? What about block trades? Does that do?
I don't think that they'll have anytime soon, according to these conversations I've had with Dan about accepting money, because that you start becoming a money transmission operator, MTO,
as opposed to.
Yeah, correct.
As opposed to transactions.
Well, and if you're selling them certain types of tokens, it could be construed as a broker dealer, and if you have a license for that.
Oh, that's why, man. Because I'm like, why wouldn't that be included? Now that makes sense. Okay, because you would think that would be included. Big question here. Oh, so when you're in your BitShares wallet, and if you get Quint at all, it doesn't show up there. Is there a way to get it to show up there?
As of right now, we're not allowing it to be transferred out of the Quintric dashboard into any of the wallets at this time. It will be relatively soon. I won't give a time frame on it. I won't give a concrete date on anything, really. So if you ask, you're going to get the same answer. Okay. It will be as soon as possible. We are testing out a few things. We just rolled out our referral program today. So you can actually refer people to the Quintric system, and you can get a piece of the action for it, and a certain percentage. So, somebody goes and buys a couple $1,000 worth of gold or silver, then you'll get a small referral for that. And, that's one thing that we're rolling out right now. So as this goes and as this process goes, we want to be able to get those transferred over as soon as possible. The capability is there right now. We just haven't turned it on for people to use for certain reasons, and we're just trying to make sure that we got all of our ducks in a row and everything's looking good. This is a very important project to us in that this is going to advance the discussions of cryptocurrencies and regulations and legal tender and the gold standard. And we got them all wrapped up into one pretty package, and we just set them right out there and said, discuss this. What are you going to do about that?
I love it. I think that's great, though. I'm looking forward to that. Just a side note with me at one point with the something I would like to see on the BitShares.org, if you guys have any say in that, is I would love to know who accepts BitShares, so I can go, Taco Bell here takes BitShares. Starbucks over here takes BitShares. I would love to know that, if that's anything that you guys could do. I mean, is that a possibility, or is that something too hard, or is that where people can write in to say, add your name to the list of where people can? Because then at least they're promoting as well. Like I could go to BitShares.org and look under the column where if I owned a coffee plate or whatever, if I took BitShares, I could do that. Blue Rock Talk takes BitShares as donations even. I would like to be able to go there and find out. I could be the first one. Okay.
Why don't we gather up a list of folks that accept BitShares for payment, and we'll stick it on there. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think it's a really great idea, because it goes to show that they're right. It shows that there's moving. It shows that there's adoption on both sides, not just the consumer side, but the merchant side, because consumers can hold it all day long, but if nobody takes it, it's not going to be worth that much to them, right? So you're right about that. Yeah. Having something on there to allow that, and something I actually appreciate that very much, Connie, for you doing that, and I'll make sure to note that.
Okay,
in our conversation tomorrow.
Connie gets a star. Yeah, I mean, I'll go by places, especially if you're in a city or something. You'll see all these things pasted up. We take Bitcoin. We take Bitcoin. Well, okay, well, who takes BitShare?
And I just saw a story a few minutes ago, just flashed across my screen. I didn't read it, but it said that in a recent poll, up to 80% of businesses are open to or interested in accepting cryptocurrencies. So,
excellent. All right. We'll take two more
questions. That's a little change from a few years ago.
Yeah, I love it. I'm glad, because I'm into it now. So, InfoPlanet, are there any plans to make BitUSD more stable? It keeps going above and below $1, making it a little hard to have consistent trades.
There's some discussion about that in particular. Yes, you also have to realize a couple of things too. Market forces are in play. Sometimes that dollar is going to be worth $1.05 because Bitcoin is crashing so hard, or the market's crashing so hard that the extra 5% loss that you're going to take on that dollar is going to hurt less than the potential 60% loss that you're going to take when you wake up in the morning, right? I'm not a math guy, but I think that I would
sounded like
that. One. You know what I mean? And so that's going to happen sometimes. And alternatively, if you're really heavy into dollars and Bitcoin's just going through the roof, you might have to spend a couple extra bucks of those dollars to get back into Bitcoin so you can take advantage of some of those gains. And so just like anything else, market forces are at play.
Is there a way, I mean, even though I keep getting this explained to me, it still makes no sense, or maybe there's something missing. You guys are experts at this, not me, but I'm thinking with all the exchanges that are occurring, and there's more, with BitShares, as you say, on those, that and Steam it, come on, all the transactions. Wouldn't that take care of itself price-wise and not go down? If there's more and more people joining Steam it and more transactions happening, why is the price still going down? Wouldn't it be kind of based on the transactions, or could it be based on it? Even if it's a tiny, tiny bit, that we would all be, okay, that's okay. Because it would keep it up and going up, the more people that join and the more conversation and comments. Am I wrong?
No, it's a very simplified version of one of the pieces of market forces in play. Having the mass effect of that many people all using and transacting and exchanging with each other and buying with, right? So you've got this big amount of users and you've got a big amount of liquidity, right? The other part to it is that a lot of, if not all of cryptocurrencies for the most part, are traded against Bitcoin as a pair.
Yes.
So when Bitcoin goes down in value, it automatically drags the rest of them down unless there is a big market force pushing one or two in particular up.
True.
And kind of negating some of that downward push. And so, when you start having more mass, adoption and usage, again, more merchants accepting it and this, you're going to see the prices. They're gyrating like this, right?
And if BitShares could go
down, to something more stabilized.
Okay. And if BitShares could go straight to the bank, if it could go straight to the bank, I wouldn't worry about Bitcoin, having to take it to Bitcoin before I can make it cash, right?
Right. And soon you'll be able to do this with the Quint card because you could take your BitShares and you can go buy some Quint with it and you can slide your card at the register and that can all happen in less than 10 seconds.
Excellent. One last question here. Quint speaking of Quint, is a fabulous idea. How do you plan on proving the gold we purchase is actually in the vault?
You can take delivery.
There's
the easy answer. Now we do have some fun things that we are planning to do when we move it to the bigger mint because we think that the one that only holds $4 billion worth of gold will fill up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a new one that they've got planned that will actually have some interesting features. They're just in the concept definition, but the idea is that you could actually rent time on a robot that's wandering around in the vault and inspect the contents.
That's cool.
So, it'd be time lapsed and otherwise because, security precautions and whatnot. But,
true.
As of right now, members that hold a certain amount of Quint can schedule a tour of the vault. That is actually in our white paper. You can read about that in particular in there. And so you can go and you can actually see that it's there. You can take delivery of it as well. There are auditors and there are audits that take place quite frequently. This is a very, very regulated industry, and we're in a state that is, while friendly to it, we're in a state that doesn't play games with you flaunting regulations on things like this. They absolutely don't. And so I think people should feel relatively safe. There's a 100% of precious metals on deposit in there. There's no fractional reserve whatsoever. And I want to add that it is insured by private insurance. So with 100% deposits backed by private insurance, all the security precautions and measures that are in there, with the auditing that's involved as well, you could take delivery of the gold and you can go and inspect it if you want to. I mean, I don't know what else we can really offer anybody else to do.
I got an idea.
A robot?
Okay, let's let Stan talk.
Okay, here's the idea. We will do a special episode of Blue Rock Talk where Connie does Tales from the Crypt and goes inside and witnesses it. And we can all watch her count the money and dive into it like Scrooge McDuck.
We're letting you dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. And I wonder if it will turn out the same way. That's going to hurt. Well, do you guys have anything else to add before we close out?
Yeah, I've got a question for you. While I was sitting here, one of our business development guys called me up and said, hey, would Connie be interested in doing an interview with the what did he call it? The Wyoming Cryptocurrency Coalition? So
the guys that I wrote about in the Forbes article, the Senate and the House and the folks that are working with them to lobby the Senate and the House, and now ultimately this is going to be pushed out in a few other places if they're successful in Wyoming, and I hope they are. I wrote about them in the article, so I think what Stan's asking is, would you like to talk to the folks who are right in boots on the ground doing the push for the regulations in Wyoming?
Is it going to be over my head totally?
No, this is the Wyoming Blockchain Coalition. They're the people that are basically getting state laws made to carve out digital currencies as a separate category that isn't subject to regulation at the national level. So,
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's also like the state that's really into all this. I mean, they're really going at it, right? I mean, absolutely, that'd be great.
Absolutely, they're very friendly towards it, and I sincerely applaud their actions and what they're doing, and I absolutely applaud what they stand for, and I hope that they continue to do this in other states as well. Really.
And our marketing guy basically came up with a little phrase: "Fair laws for fair money." What a combo! We can talk about what we're doing and what they're doing and how it all plays together. So that might be a new episode we can get scheduled in the near future.
Absolutely, that sounds good. Any suggestions? That's fine. And I get them all the time for sure. There's just so much to talk about with you guys. It's great though. I love it. I mean, bring it on. Let's all get rich together. That's what I was putting out there too. Let's get rich together. Yeah, it's not all about that. I get it. But you know what? Let's get rich together. Come on.
Either way, we'll be richly entertained. So
that's true.
Somebody was kidding me today. They were saying that, you got too many projects going on all at the same time. You need to focus. And I just was reminded of those James Bond episodes where he goes into Q's laboratory and he's walking through the laboratory and there's like 20 different new nifty secret weapons that are being developed. And that's really what our life is like right now, is just wandering around in our own version of Q's lab, looking at different things in different stages of development.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. People, just so you'll know, Blue Rockers, I am not privy to any of this stuff. They tell me we got breaking news, and then they tell it right when it goes on live. I don't even get it beforehand. Otherwise I'd be going, no. Yeah. It's exciting. You guys are really cool with all this stuff. Looking forward to what happened with the SEC in DC too, since that's bombshell, as Michael says, bombshell in a good way, right?
Oh, I think so. We're still alive, aren't we?
Oh, okay. Yeah. And can you update us on Jared Rise with Arise Bank? Any updates on that?
Yeah, just literally got off the phone with him 1 minute before I got on the show with you. We were talking with him and a few other folks, and I believe that I think it would be great for you to have him on the show here again relatively soon with some of the recent updates of what's going on. I'm not going to spill it or anything, and I believe that there will be some announcements coming very soon. They're going to be measured in those announcements just for legal reasons, obviously, when he's in court and there's litigation and things happening. Commenting on that is not always the best idea, so doing it through attorneys and doing it through other means and measures, as they, say to do, is prudent in the situation he's in. He's doing well. His spirits are amazing. The guy, you really just can't knock him down, I don't think. I think he's just going to keep getting back up with a smile on his face either way. So, and I definitely, I like that about him.
He's got such great ideas. I mean, all the ones that he was given to me, even the blockchain phone, how cool was that? I mean, just all his different ideas were amazing.
Well, those ideas haven't stopped, No. While they've sort of fenced him in on what he's able to do, which is basically nothing but play with his kid and sit and think. That's still a wonderful opportunity for him because he is a thinker and he's doing some amazing thinking while he's in this hopefully temporary intermezzo, if you will, in his life. So hopefully that'll be over with before long.
Is that situation stopping anybody else from trying to do a bank, or?
I definitely believe it made them pause for a moment. That's for sure.
Yeah. But is it, it's not just because it's Texas, right?
No, but I would say that, that's a jurisdiction that, is not, they're just not too happy about the crypto thing right now, as they see now. I will say, and I wrote extensively about the USI Tech and the BitConnect stuff. that had happened, and Texas was at the forefront of stopping those two activities. And those are two activities that I've been talking about for a very long time as being extremely harmful to the community as a whole and something that needed to be taken care of. But I don't think Rise fell anywhere near that dimension, that those companies were in. It was nowhere near any of that. And again, I don't want to comment too much on something that's, still in litigation right now and in court, but I think there's a lot of facts that are going to come out that are going to, surprise a lot of people. Jared's a very smart guy. And, if anything, talking to him throughout this entire process, has proven and shown me what kind of an individual he is and what kind of ideas and things he's trying to bring to fruition. And, the proof's in that. I truly believe that there will be other initiatives for this bank stuff. I think that people are going to make a go at it. We're going to see who gets to it in a successful way and who the government allows to do it in whatever regulatory, what do I want to say, landscape is happening right there. It's moving really fast, right? So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I'm going to be interested to see how it works.
Yeah, and I do want to talk to him again. I just know we didn't want to because if he blew the beans on something, they shouldn't have, just by accident, just by talking. Yeah, so we want to make it safe for him for sure. So cool. All right. Bitcoin Latina, just real quick, an update on that.
Well, still rocking and rolling, miners are still mining. Right now, I think the price is still around the price that they're running for electricity. So I think it's break even right now for them. But a lot of them understand that that's the name of the game. I mean, a lot of blockchains started worthless, Bitcoin's one of them I can think of.
Right.
Miners mined for a few years before anything was really worth it. So they're doing very well. I do believe that they've got some announcements coming up soon. I know that because, I was on the calls where we were getting the announcements out. So there's that.
And how do you know this, Michael?
Well, like I said, we're the ones that are blazing trails and doing crazy stuff. So
love it.
We'll be having some announcements posted out there fairly soon. I think they're fairly significant announcements. In fact, if people really sit down and think about what we say when we say them, they'll realize the implications of them, and they're far-reaching. So, coming soon to a chat room near you, Connie.
To Blue Rock Talk of Cryptoconnie.
That's right. Hopefully, in fact, we actually spoke with John, and he said that he would love to jump on here with you and do that actual announcement on here with you. We're just getting some clearance from certain entities right now.
Great. Okay. As long as I'm still safe along the way.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. All right. You never know. It might,
Well, when you say entities to Connie, it can mean all kinds of different species.
I just realized that as I said it.
Because we know entities are real. So.
Oh, I heard about Bigfoot in the tent story. So.
That was so funny. Inside joke. Oh, you're talking my 10 story. Are you talking about the video that? Or are you talking about our jokes the other day?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about the jokes the other day because there was an actual. Okay. Yeah, we'll just change that subject. No, that was pretty funny though. That was funny stuff. That was funny. The people that were reading that were going, "Oh my gosh!" They were realizing there was actually some humor coming out of. Everybody at that point. I can say that was new.
Get back to work, people.
I saw it was refreshingly new to everybody. All right. So people are thanking you guys and all of us for being here tonight. So Michael, you got to show us if you know the blue rocker signal there. Can you do it? Oh, you got to get more in the middle because you're cut. Okay, but you got to do it backwards. Yeah, because that's Spock, right? This is blue rocker.
Oh, okay. Can I go both sides like this?
No,
live long and prosper.
Doubly cool, So if you go into a room, if you go to like one of those that conscious media place, and you're like, oh my gosh, where are my people? Where are some blue rockers? And then if they go back to you, you're set. That's who you hang out with, right? That's who you hang out. That's who you dance with. Did you all dance? What happened? Was Was there?
Oh,
tell us about that party real quick.
I have video footage of dancing. Yes, there was.
I love it. Okay. That was good. It was great to see him in a suit as well, a little dapper look. I like it. You were dapper. That was the right word for that. Now, I don't know, Michael. You might be a suit person all the time. I don't know. But definitely Stan, overall king. They're going to be new overalls made in the future called BitShares or something. You got to do something fun like that.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Yeah.
Really, seriously. But,
and get your Larimers on. Yeah.
That's it. Get your Larimers on. I love it.
Oh man.
That's it. That's right. You're a product dude too. You know what to do. I love it. Well, thanks you guys for showing up tonight and being a part of Crypto Connie with Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Really appreciate that very much. More to come with these guys. Let me see if I can click you all off here. I know how to do it. So anyway, bye you guys. Hang on for a second though. So that was Stan Larimer and also Michael Taggart. That was very fun. So we'll have more of those in the future. It's always nice to talk live, isn't it? And also take your Q&A. So thank all of you that are in the live chat. Thank you very much for stopping in and being a part of it. Please pass this on to your other buddies out there. I'd like that. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit that like button if you haven't. And we got more of these to come. So please subscribe. Really appreciate that you guys are here. We got more coming up. And don't forget Coast to Coast. March 24th, I'll be back on. And, of course, we'll be here on Blue Rock Talk with many other things between now and then. So thanks for being a part of this, and we'll be talking to you soon. Crypto Connie here and heading out right now.